What's up, y'all? Welcome to Sunday Soup, the podcast where comfort meets conversation. I'm Lindsay. I'm your host, your chef, your storyteller, and every other week I whip up a delicious soup, pair it with some thought-provoking conversation, some inspiring stories, maybe, and hopefully I can make you laugh while you're here. That sounds like something you're interested in. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Like, comment, share with everyone you know. Follow me on all the socials. I would love to keep up with y'all. This week we are talking about boundaries. And last week I didn't know what soup I'm making, but today I'm gonna make a baked potato soup. And if you don't know, I think I mentioned this before, but I do not eat meat. So we're gonna use a plant-based bacon, which I know for some people that's like, what? But I promise you, it tastes really good. So we're gonna make a loaded baked potato soup with a plant-based bacon. Yeah, get comfy, get your bowl, get yourself together because we're gonna talk about boundaries and this is a heavy topic, okay? But yeah, let's take it to the stove. Ingredients for this soup, of course. What is a loaded baked potato soup without potatoes? I have these like baby potatoes. I have them in my groceries, and I wasn't about to buy more potatoes when I can just use this. I hope this turns out to be enough. We'll find out. Of course, an onion. I think this is a yellow onion. I don't know. Also had this in my groceries for a little bit. Some sharp cheddar, maybe mild cheddar. You know what? I really don't know. All of the ingredients will be down below, but I'm pretty sure it's sharp cheddar. Of course, I told y'all I'm doing plant-based bacon. So I've got some plant-based bacon that I fried and now I like cut it up or like made it into crumbles. It looks like bacon, okay? And it really has like the smoky flavor. So I promise y'all it's worth it. And some green onion because I don't know, that just really takes the soup to the next level. Of course, half and half and veggie broth you will need for this soup. But yeah, let's go ahead and get these veggies prepped. We're gonna start with chopping these potatoes. And like I said, we're gonna talk about boundaries today. And boundaries is that's kind of a crazy topic. Like, I am still working on my boundaries. I realized more recently, shout out to my therapist, that I'm not that great at setting boundaries, and I actually don't. It's just really uncomfortable for me, and it's probably uncomfortable for a lot of people. I don't really know many people that are like good at setting boundaries, but if you are, please leave a comment. What are some boundaries that you have? Like you're no nonsense. No, you're not gonna do this. Let me not. In some areas, I think I set great boundaries. What are those areas? I don't know. No, I really do. I just can't think of them right now. But there are areas where I feel like I am good about boundaries. I don't tolerate disrespect. So like I won't let people like talk to me crazy or disrespect me. If I feel disrespected, like I will cut you off, no problem. When it comes to like romantic relationships, I'm really good at setting boundaries and cutting people off, which is both a blessing and a curse because I'm quick. I'm real quick to cut you off. I don't play when it comes to that. But then in other areas of my life, I'm not that great at setting boundaries. I don't think I've ever really thought about much of my boundaries. I don't know. And like I said, in some ways I have my non-negotiables, my no nonsense. I don't tolerate this. But in many other ways, I'm just like, I'm so forgiving and like people are just human and I would want somebody to forgive me. So yeah, not that great at setting boundaries. I also feel like a large part of the reason maybe I'm not that great at setting boundaries is like how I grew up, and not like in a bad way, but like in our culture, Black culture specifically, when it comes to boundaries, like kids don't have no, this sounds bad. It's gonna sound bad, but I'm gonna explain it. Kids don't have no control over like what they tolerate and what they don't. Like not in a like, oh, it sounds so bad when I say it like that. I'm trying to figure out how to explain it. Clearly my brain is like not working. But not that kids don't have a say in like what happens to them or what doesn't happen to them, but like your parents are your direction. This might be in other cultures too. Your parents are your direction. Your parents are there to keep you safe, to guide you, whatever, and like make sure you are alive to the next day. So there's not a lot of discussion, or at least there wasn't a lot of discussion in my life. And it's probably because I was a yapper. Okay. I talked a lot and I had a lot to say to a lot of people. And my parents had to set the boundary that like you cannot always say what you're thinking because it's out of pocket. So maybe that is a boundary that they set with me, is that like you need to learn to just be quiet. And I struggled with that, and I still struggle with that sometimes, but my mouth has gotten a lot better. But I think it's a generational thing too. Like my parents were raised in a generation where there wasn't a lot of discussion. And so like we did get to voice our opinions and how we felt about things, but like also we knew who the leader was and like who was in control. And so like I didn't necessarily have to set boundaries because I could trust them that they were gonna like guide me in the right direction. We were actually talking about it recently because I was so out of pocket and dramatic in middle school, like most middle schoolers. And I have this teacher that I really did not like. And we were going on this trip to New York, DC, and Pennsylvania, like our 8th grade, DC trip, but we added in a few other stops. I did not want to go with this teacher, and it was between this teacher and my coach. So of course I was going to pick my coach because, I've spent a lot of time with her. She was my volleyball coach for 6th and 7th grade, or no, 7th and 8th grade. And like, I really trusted her. She was one of my teachers. Like, she had my best interest. It was between her going and this teacher that I didn't like. And everyone in my class voted for this teacher that I didn't like because she was our teacher. And I was the one single vote that voted for my coach. I don't think that was that big of a deal, but she like made it into a whole thing and was like really offended by it. And like, I don't know, whatever. Well, then I decided to get on Twitter. This is so crazy. And I tweeted something as crazy as like, I would rather end it all. I didn't say that. I said KMS. If you know what that means, But I was like, I would rather do that than go on this trip with this woman. You cannot say things like that. That's so wildly inappropriate. And I just had no boundaries. And my parents were like, girl, we understand you don't like her, but you cannot say that. Her daughter followed me on Twitter because we're the same age. And her daughter told her, and like I got in trouble, and like she was crying, and like we had to have a meeting. It was like a whole thing. But all that to say, like, boundaries, right? Like there are some things you cannot post online. There are some things you cannot say. And like young me did not care, did not listen to that. And thankfully my parents like gave me boundaries of like, girl, you can't say that. You can express yourself, but you cannot say that. But it's interesting because like my nephew, a few months ago, I was asking him about his grades and he told me, I'm not going to share that. And I was like, what? Like, for real? He was like, no, I'm not telling you. And I almost, in one way, I felt some type of way because how are you going to tell me what you're not going to share when I'm asking about your grades? Because that's like our culture. Like if a grown up asks you a question, you answer. If you in grown folks business, they're going to tell you in grown folks business. But if they ask you something and you need to answer, you need to answer. Now we're in a different generation where kids have different boundaries. And I literally was like, you know what? Fair enough. Like I got to respect his boundaries. And maybe that's not right, or maybe it's wrong. I don't know. He's not my child. He's just my nephew. So it doesn't really matter. But it's just really interesting, like how things have changed and how kids are so much more comfortable saying no and expressing their boundaries. I think that's really important. I think it's just, it's a change from what we're used to. And like, in some ways, like, yes, kids definitely deserve boundaries, but in other ways, like you do need to be able to share certain things with like the people that you encounter and who have your best interests at heart, because like that's really important. So I don't know, it was just really interesting when he said that to me, because I was like, how dare you tell me you're not going to tell me your grades? No, but he set his boundaries and I can't even be mad at it. All right, I'm going to throw these potatoes in a bowl so that they're out of the way. Oh, kids saying no. So that was a little crazy to me, but also fair enough. I was like, dang, if he could set boundaries, like maybe I need to stand on business. All right, we're going to prep this onion. But there are also like so many areas in which you can set boundaries. Like I kind of briefly mentioned it, like your family and your friends versus maybe your romantic relationships. Like your boundaries will look different. Even at work, my boundaries, that's one area I think I am good at setting boundaries. I've gotten better at it. So before I graduated with my master's, while I was in my master's program, I was working in a student affairs office. I worked at multiple, but one of them, I was not good at setting boundaries with those students. Like, it's so hard in that environment because one, I am a student, right? I'm a graduate student. I've been there. I'm close to y'all's age, close to their age, kind of, even though they try to act like I wasn't. They'd be like, one of them said to me, yeah, I work at my internship. I work with people your age. I said, how old do you think I am? Because you realize like I'm 24. 25. Now I'm 25, but I'm like, you're 21, 22. Like, you act like I'm old. Anyways, but it's hard because, like, you're close in age with them, you work with them, you're also a student, like, you understand them. And, like, in many aspects, when you're working in student affairs, like, you're there as, like, an advisory, like, a support system, a mentor. Like, the lines get crossed a lot. And at first, I didn't know how to set boundaries with them. Like, I would just, it was too much. It was like too much. Y'all know too much. I know too much. I don't want to know that much, respectfully. And then my second year, I got much better. And I actually even asked my supervisor, like, I need your help in helping me set boundaries. Because even like my students could text me at midnight, 1 a.m. And not that I would answer because I'd probably be asleep. Like, one thing I don't play about is my sleep and my nighttime routine. So, like, phone will be on Do Not Disturb. But, like, if they texted me and they really needed something, if I was off or I was sick, like, I would reply or I would make sure they were good. And I had to stop doing that, especially, like, the second year, because I had a lot of students under my supervision, or I don't know. I had students that I was advising in, like, student groups. I had students, I was their direct supervisor. They were my employees. Like, it was a lot of different areas within that job that I had to, like, navigate. And I really had to learn how to set boundaries, or, like, if I'm not working past this time, you can text me. If I answer, great. If I don't, like, I don't. I also have homework. I also have a life. I have a dog. Like, I can't be on campus till 11 p.m. because I don't live on campus. Like, I have to go home. I have to feed myself. Like, just, I had to learn a lot of boundaries and how to say no to them, or, like, learn when it wasn't my place and that it should be somebody else's, and, like, guide them in the right directions. So I don't know, that really taught me a lot about setting boundaries. And I think, like, from that experience, I learned, like, it is okay to set boundaries, even if it's not just professional, like, if it's personal. And, like, there's a way to do it to where you protect yourself, but, like, you're not doing it in a malicious way. And sometimes I think when people set boundaries with us, we can, like, get offended by it, like, oh, but it's not about you. It's really about that person and them taking care of themselves. And I think that's, like, really important and, like, really necessary to pay attention to. Also, work boundaries and, like, any boundaries are really to avoid burnout, especially at work. Like, set the boundary that after a certain time you cannot contact me, because guess what? Like, I've worked this many hours or whatever. Like, it is okay to set that boundary, or don't schedule over my lunch, because you will burn yourself out if you don't. And I just think, like, that's not fair to you. That's not, I don't know. It's just not fair. And it also, like, manages people's expectations, manages your expectations of, like, how people should access you and when they should access you, where. That's really important to me. Like, I'm going to give you the expectations of how I'm going to show up for you, and, like, you have to respect that. So boundaries literally set the expectation. Like, if I tell you I don't want to be a part of this, or, like, if you are doing something and I don't want to talk about that, if I set that boundary, like, it produces an expectation that, like, I'm not going to cross that line with you. And I think it took me a while to realize that, like, it's not a mean thing. It's not I don't want to be your friend, or I don't want to talk about anything with you. I just need to protect myself in certain areas. And for that, I'm setting a boundary. And, like, if you can respect that, I will respect your boundaries. And if you can't, then we just won't talk. A good area, I think, that, like, a lot of people have become better at setting boundaries with is social media. And like I said, I used to be on Twitter, and I got off of Twitter, like, I was probably like 17. When I first got to college, I left Twitter because Twitter was so toxic, and, like, it just wasn't a good place for me. And I felt like it was just not good for me. It wasn't good for me. And I remember setting that boundary really early on, like, all right, I'm off of this. That was cool, but not cool enough. And with social media, like, you're able to manage the time that you spend on social media, the access people have to you, the control people have over what you see and what you respond to. Like, I was scrolling through something today and I saw it, and people were, like, so ignorant in the comments. And I so badly wanted to check all of them, but I was like, first of all, set this boundary with yourself that, like, you're not the hero. You don't need to be on social media going back and forth with people who you don't know about something that, like, they're ignorant on. Like, choose your battles wisely. If you feel like that's really your area, that's really your passion, go for it. There are some things that I will stand 10 toes on. And if I say something and somebody says something back, I'm coming back at you, because I'm not shy about that. But, like, also, I'm not about to go picking fights and seeing stuff that, like, people say that's ignorant that I want to respond to. Like, it's social media. It's, one, not that deep. 2, never that serious. And 3, like, you don't know these people. You don't know these people, okay? If it's somebody I know, that's different. I don't know you from Joe Schmo on the street, okay? I don't really care what you're saying. And if you're that ignorant to say it and like post it, you're really just ignorant. So I'm not about to entertain that and like waste my energy on that. But it's like a boundary that I had to set with myself. And it took a while, and like it'd be hard. Like it'd be hard. I'll be seeing stuff like, y'all are so uneducated. Like, tell me you're educated, I'll tell me you're educated. But I just have to look past it, and I have to protect my peace. Boundaries are protecting your peace. Boundaries are not, I don't rock with you. Boundaries, I mean, it could be that, but like boundaries are not a way to like assert power over people. Boundaries are a way to protect yourself from being harmed, from being burnt out, from people using you in ways that you don't want them to be used. It is so funny because I'm sitting up here preaching about this, but literally I just had therapy, and me and my therapist were talking about like me overextending myself and how I am not that great at setting boundaries, because I will literally like, I just care so much about people that are in my life, and I will overextend myself, and I will reach out a million times, or I will like go to the ends of the earth for them, and then when they don't do it for me, I feel some type of way. And we were just talking about like, I need to set this boundary within myself too, that like, one, like I deserve people that like, I can appreciate people that can do it for me. Like I have some great friends that'll literally go to the ends of the earth for me, and for them I'll go to the earth with them. But I need to focus on those friends and not on the people that like, I feel like we don't have that bond, or like I feel like I would do that for you but you wouldn't do it for me, regardless, whatever. But like she was really clocking my tea. I told her that. I said, okay, because you're not gonna sit up here and clock me like this. But it's really beneficial, and like it really applies. I'm sitting up here preaching about boundaries, but like I know I need to do better. And honestly, I feel like my podcast, I don't know, I'm just going on a rant here, but my podcast, it'd be for me. Like I'll be up here talking about stuff for me. If y'all relate and y'all get it, amen. I'm so glad. But if you don't, it's really okay, because this, I feel like this is like, I don't know, it's me working through stuff, maybe. I don't really know. I do think people understand, but like a lot of this do be for myself. And I'm okay with that, because that's like authentic, that's real. I'm just telling y'all what I'm going through. And that's funny because like every time I do a podcast episode about something, I'm literally that next week challenged in that exact same thing. Or like, I'm like, dang, this is showing up again. Like you was up there telling people that they should do X, Y, and Z, and now look at you. You got to do the same thing. You got to practice what you preach. So yeah, I just went on a crazy rant. But anyways, all these vegetables are prepped, and we're going to get this stuff on the stove and get this soup going, okay? So I'm going to see you on the other side. Of course, it is related to soup, and I feel like a lot of soup is like the simmering process, and that's really like, to me, where boundaries sit is like, you have to let your soup do its thing. You have to like take a step back, know that you put in the right amount of stuff, and let it be. And if you didn't, you can always like add on later. But it's like with boundaries, like you have to know and be confident that I set this boundary for myself, and I'm going to respect it, because if you don't respect your boundary, no one else is going to respect your boundary. I'm going to respect my boundary. I'm going to stand on this business, and I'm going to make sure that like I'm taking care of myself. So there's that. I just think that's really important. While this is warming up, I'm going to get my cheese grater, and I'm going to grate some cheese in. Yeah, I'm going to save some of my cheese for like garnish. For garnish? I don't know why I felt like a question. For garnish, but I'm going to save some of this in now. I love a loaded baked potato soup, and it's been a while since I've had one, so I'm excited for this. All right, that's probably enough for now, at least. Ooh, this is too high. And then I'm going to throw in the potatoes without splashing too much. I'm trying to get them in there. Okay, they're in. I'm going to add in just a little bit more cheese, because I don't feel like I can. It is melting quite quickly because it's really hot. But I'm just going to add in just a little bit more. And then I'm going to add in some sour cream, and we're going to just let it do its thing. Okay, don't really know how much you're supposed to add. I've made this before, so I'm just guessing. But anyways, really the main part of this is that the potatoes have to cook and the flavors like need to blend together. So we're gonna give it a taste test, see what it tastes like, and then I'm gonna we'll adjust and let it do what it needs to do. I have big spoons and little spoons, and I just don't want a big one. Okay, I like it. However, something missing. I'm gonna add more half and half. I want to add more pepper. Let's see. It's not bad. It just needs a few more things, you know? Like something is missing. That's better, but there's still something. Maybe it's just salt. I think that's what it is, honestly. I think it just doesn't have a lot of salt. And it's also partially when you make it with real bacon. Real bacon is pretty salty. Plant-based bacon, it resembles, but it's not quite as salty as real bacon. So I put that will help. And obviously, like, this is first pass. It's going to need some time to marinate together. And once it has that strong potato flavor, it's much better. Yeah, that's much better. It was salt. Okay, cool. Actually, I'm going to add more cheese just because I like cheese. And then I'm going to let it do its thing, which it's already starting to do. Oops, I'm throwing stuff everywhere. All right, it's gonna take a minute to cook. So I'm gonna put my lid on. I'm gonna raise the temperature up so that these potatoes can cook, and then I'm gonna let it be, and I will see y'all in a bit. All right, so the potatoes are like pretty well cooked. Something I learned in the first time I made this was to like smash the potatoes a little bit. Not all of them, but some of them. Kind of binds the soup together and gives it that like real strong potato flavor. So I'm just like mashing some of them since they're pretty well cooked. I think they still need a few more minutes. Also, the soup has not thickened at all. Last time it was thick. I don't know. I added flour, so I don't know what I did wrong. Maybe I didn't do anything wrong. Maybe it just needs some time. Maybe that's it. Maybe you did nothing wrong. You just need to give it time. That's a word. So I'm just still mashing some of these because they're potatoes. They're like slippery, you know? It's kind of hard to mash them. Ooh, all right, that's a little better. So I had to turn it down because it got up high real fast. Again, gonna just let it do its thing. I don't know, it hasn't been that long because since I cut the potatoes, they're not gonna take as long to cook. But they're doing their thing, and yeah, we'll check back in once it's in a better place. All right, seems to be in a good place. So we're going to scoop us a bowl. It's still not really thick. I don't know what I did this time that like caused it to be so thin. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's still good. Or maybe I'm just thinking of the wrong soup. Maybe it was always thin. I should have saved some bacon pieces for the top, and I forgot. Got my bowl here, and I'm gonna add in some chives or green onion, whatever you want to call it. Some cheese. This is why I should have saved some bacon for the top. I don't know what I was thinking. I wasn't. That's the thing. I wasn't. And some sour cream. It smells good, so I'm excited. My spoon. And we're not going to burn ourselves this week. We're going to wait and take it slow. Let it cool off. Even though I'm really eager, like I'm looking at it like, oh my gosh, I want to eat this. No, put it down. I'm going to wait for it to cool off. And while I wait, this is a great chat about boundaries. For me, I don't know about for you, but it was a great chat for me. And it's really, boundaries are really just like setting boundaries are a part of your mental well-being, honestly, I think it affects your mental, spiritual, and physical well-being. Like you gotta have boundaries with certain stuff because that'll infect your body, infect your spirit, infect your mental, and that is not what you want. And it's just like a form of self-care. And that's just been like the theme, I guess, of this season's episodes is just like prioritizing self-care and yourself, whatever that looks like, whether it's living slow or setting boundaries, and what else did I talk about? Small wins, something like goal setting, and I don't know, I talked about a lot of stuff. But I just think that's like the overarching message is just like take care of yourself and prioritize your self-care and your well-being. Okay, I think it's cool enough now. The bowl is really freaking hot. Oh my gosh. But I think it's good now, so let's try. Oh, hold on. Oh my gosh. Y'all, this soup is bussin'. That's what my nephew used to say. He used to be like, it's bussin'. No, but this soup is so good. Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyways, dang, that's really good. So make this. If you're at home watching this right now and you need some inspiration, make it. All right. Thank y'all again for listening, for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Sunday Soup. Make sure you subscribe, like, comment, follow me on socials. Like I said, once I get to 100 subscribers, I'm going to do a giveaway. So make sure you're following me and subscribing to me so that you can find out when that is. Close to halfway there. So close to halfway to 100. And that makes me really excited. And it actually like makes my heart really warm. So subscribe, like, comment. Definitely comment. Tell me what you think if you make this soup, or if you made any of the soups, let me know what you think. Next week, I don't know what I'm talking about, and I don't know what soup I'm making, but join me. I'm sure it'll be good. It'll probably be something related to self care. Yeah, I'll see you there. Okay, bye.